Everyone has a rule they wish they'd listened to. Mine came from a man who didn't exist. And by the time I understood that, it was already too late. You're listening to The Quiet Midnight. Back then, I was working as a waiter at a restaurant in Boston, barely scraping by. So when the landlord of the place I was renting told me, out of nowhere, that he was tearing the building down, I had a problem. I had 2 roommates, and suddenly the 3 of us had nowhere to live. We searched everywhere. Everything was too expensive. Then we found it. An old 2-story house on a quiet street on the edge of the city. The kind of street where the street lights don't all work and the neighbors keep to themselves. The house was old, but it was beautiful. And the rent was low. Too low, maybe. But 3 broke guys don't ask questions when the price is right. We paid a full month up front to the man who rented it to us, and we moved in. It was a duplex. 2 floors. But he only let us have the ground floor. On the day he handed us the keys, the caretaker said something I've never forgotten. He said, "Sometimes you'll hear noises in this house. Whatever you do, don't listen to them. And never ever go looking for where they're coming from." That stopped me cold. Because when I looked at the staircase leading up to the 2nd floor, it had been boarded shut, sealed with wooden planks, nailed tight so nobody could get up there. I asked him straight, "Is there something wrong with this house?" He got flustered. "If something was wrong," he said, "would I be renting it to you?" "Then why's the staircase sealed?" I asked. "And what noises are you talking about?" he said. "There are valuable things stored upstairs. Nobody's allowed up. And the noises, houses make noises. Don't pay them any mind. I have to go now." And he hurried out the door like he couldn't leave fast enough. We had a bad feeling, but we were out of options. So we stayed. The first night was fine, quiet, normal. It started on the second night, 3 a.m. I woke up to a scream, a real one. The kind that rips you out of sleep with your heart already pounding. I lay there shaking, trying to figure out what I'd heard. And then I understood. It was a woman screaming like she was in unbearable pain. I got up. I was going to find it. I had my hand on the door. And then I remembered what the caretaker said. Don't listen, don't go looking. I stood there a long time. Finally, I told myself I'd deal with it in the morning. The next day I asked around. Neighbors, the corner store, anyone. Nobody knew anything. The 3rd night, the same screaming. But this time, after the woman's voice, I heard a man yelling, "Help me, somebody help me." I was scared now, so I did the cowardly thing. I pulled the blanket over my head, and I made myself go back to sleep. The next morning, one of my roommates was gone. We searched the whole ground floor. Nothing. And then I noticed it. The staircase, the one that had been boarded shut, was broken wide open. The planks were smashed apart from the inside. My other roommate and I ran up. At the top of the stairs, we found drag marks, blood smeared across the floor, leading from one room into another. We followed it, and what we found in that room, we were not ready for it. Our missing roommate was on the floor, bloodied, barely breathing. We carried him downstairs and called 911. The ambulance came, the police came, he was in bad shape. They rushed him to the ICU. The police started questioning us, and I told them everything. The caretaker, the noises, the sealed staircase, all of it. The officer looked at me and said, "This house you moved into, it's been abandoned for years. There's a lot of ugly history here." I said, "But the caretaker told us." "What caretaker?" he cut in. "There's nobody who looks after this house. And the man who owned it? He died 7 years ago." He kept going. "Whoever rented this place to you was a con man. He took your money and he's long gone." I felt the floor drop out from under me. The police sealed the house. They told us not to leave the city until my roommate recovered. It took about 6 weeks before he was well enough to talk. When he finally was, the police came to hear his side. And what he told us about that night, I still think about it. He said he heard the screaming too, and he went to find it. He followed it to the sealed staircase. And as he stood there, a voice, low, groaning, said, "Come here. Bring me some water." Something took hold of him. Some pull he couldn't fight. He tore through the wooden planks with his bare hands and climbed. At the top, from one of the rooms, he heard the groaning again, and as he got close, a smell hit him, rotten, sickening. He stepped inside, and he saw her, a dying woman, except her whole body was. The flesh was sliding off her, melting away. And she looked at him and asked him for water. He turned and ran. But she was suddenly there, right in front of him. He collided with her and hit the floor. He scrambled up and tried again to escape. This time she caught him, held him. There was a struggle, and then the thing lifted him off the ground and threw him into one wall, then another, over and over, until his body was torn and bleeding and he blacked out. Later, we learned the truth. About a year before we moved in, a couple lived in that house. The husband left his wife, walked out to marry another woman in another city, and the wife, alone in that house, got sick, seriously sick. With no one to care for her, no one to feed her, she wasted away, slowly, in agony, until she died. They found her body in that house, decomposed. And ever since, the house doesn't let people stay. Anyone who tries comes out broken. I heard 2 people have died there. So, that's what happened to us. If you're ever apartment hunting and you find a place that's beautiful and quiet and somehow far too cheap, ask yourself why. And if the man handing you the keys tells you not to listen to the noises, don't move in. That house is still there, still beautiful, still empty, still waiting for someone who needs a place too badly to ask why it's so cheap. This was The Quiet Midnight. Sleep well, if you can.